This is Dubs OT.
Can't wait.
With John Dickinson.
Hey, JD, what you up to, sugar? Long time no talk to.
On KNBR 104.5 and 680. Streaming live at knbr.com and on the KNBR app.
Steph Curry latering in that three. That was such a good one. Steph acted like he was about to set a screen. Then he turned around and got his screen for GP2. His defender got clipped just enough, got some separate. That is an amazing play. His defender got clipped. See what you did there.
Well, Steph got his minutes, and the Warriors took another L, their 45th of the season, as they wind up the 82-game campaign, 37-45. What a grind to the finish line after Jimmy Butler went down back on January the 19th, and the Warriors destined to remain in LA. We counted it out for you yesterday on Just Dubs. Not one, not two, not three. I sound like LeBron. Not four, but 5 nights in LA for the Golden State Warriors. A couple, 3 more, including tonight, as they'll take on the Clippers in the play-in tournament. Warriors wind up the year with a loss to the Los Angeles Clippers, 115-110. The final. We welcome you in our final regular season edition of Dubs OT with JD right here on the Sports Leader, as the Warriors finish up this campaign 37-45, and they will take on the Clippers, who end up with the 9 seed because Portland handled business up in the Pacific Northwest. They beat the Sacramento Kings, and so they claim the 8 seed going into the play-in tournament. Play-in tournament is set, and we'll talk here over the course of the next 90 minutes or so about all the playoff matchups, the play-in matchups, but the play-in most specifically in the Western Conference obviously set. Portland will go to Phoenix and play on Tuesday night. The Warriors will stay down in Southern California and take on the Clippers on Wednesday night. And, of course, we'll be there with Dubs OT from Inglewood as the Warriors are playing Intuit Dome, a 7 o'clock tip, and we'll be live right around 9:30 when that game goes final. Good, bad, or indifferent. If the Warriors season is over, we'll be here for you. If the Warriors are on to take on the loser of the Portland-Phoenix game, whoever loses that game, it'll be 2 road games for the Dubs if they win the first one. If not, obviously the season is over. So 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. The number to jump in and join the conversation, should you choose, right here, Dubs OT, with JD on the Sports Leader, best YouTube chat in sports. Golden State Lumber and Showroom text line is open. And, man, Kyle Haar in the Daly City studios. Steph got his minutes. That's about all I can say tonight. He did end up playing 29. I know there was the big discussion on Wednesday or on Friday night after the game in Sacramento, and Steph wanted to play closer to his normal minutes. I think he had said maybe 32 to 34. It was a big theme of the Just Dub show yesterday. But really, when Draymond popped up, and unsurprisingly, Draymond popped up as somebody that was going to get this game off after a couple of nights in LA. It really became, Steph and Porzingis do anything really working together? Although Porzingis ended up playing, 24 minutes. Warriors rolled with the Steph, Pajemski, Horford, Porzingis, Melton starting lineup. But Steph got his run, I thought looked pretty good. 24, 6, and 3, did have the 3 turnovers. Nobody really shot the ball well, as has been the case in LA in recent memory here, other than Steph. Whether it's been down at Crypto against the Lakers, seemingly a thing, but it's been a thing when the Warriors have played the Clippers for whatever reason, and that's now in 4 trips to Intuit Dome. The Warriors have not won a single game at Intuit Dome, so they'll have to get it done in the play-in tournament. I know on the television side of the telecast, Fitz and Kalena, Warriors didn't exactly beat the Clippers either, their last handful of trips into what used to be Staples Center before the Clippers moved over to Inglewood by SoFi and the old Forum where the Lakers played back in the day. But they didn't win there at the end and haven't won any of their games at Intuit Dome to this point through the first 2 years of that building's existence. You got to go all the way back to November of 21. But the Warriors are going to have to try to do it for the first time in what will be about 4.5 years on Wednesday as they claim the 10 seed in the Western Conference and the play-in tournament. So, Kyle, good to be with you, man. Our final time, game 82 of 82. I think we've missed maybe 4 or 5 or 6 due to some 49er conflicts and mainly 49er playoff conflicts along the way. But man, deep breath, season over. Obviously, it had 3 months ago a different trajectory than anybody could have anticipated, with Jimmy going down for the season and then Steph ultimately going down for what was basically a almost 2.5 month absence. But here we are, Warriors with a shot to win a couple. And if they do, they'll only get the best team in the NBA this season and the defending champs in Oklahoma City. You ready to roll, brother?
Of course. I mean, I don't know if the Warriors will be ready to roll, but I mean, what a season. I mean, you touched on it, and yeah, I mean, for the last 2 months, it kind of felt like just prolonging the inevitable, and what we thought and what Warrior fans thought that we were gonna basically we were set at the 10 seed, and here we are. Finally, the 10 seed with the matchup against the Clippers.
808 KNBR 415-808-5627. Again, Warriors and Clippers elimination game in the play-in on Wednesday night. That's going to be a 7:00 tip. And again, Dubs OT with JD after that game from Inglewood. Gene, as we get it rolling in the YouTube chat early here, asking the question on everybody's mind, of course, right? What is the Warriors' record historically in the play-in? They've been in the play-in, it feels like, every year. It actually hasn't been. You go back to the initial play-in with a different format actually occurred in the bubble back in 2020. I think it was Portland and Memphis that ended up playing in it. But under the current format, which started in 2021, the Warriors were in the play-in that year in 21 when Klay Thompson was still out due to the Achilles injury after the ACL injury. The Warriors were the 8 seed going into the play-in that year, and they got beat twice that year. They got beat in LA against the Lakers, who were the defending champions at that point, in the 7-8 game, and then they came home with limited fans because we were coming out of COVID. I think the Warriors had about 10,000 fans allowed into Chase Center at that point in May of 2021. Out of the COVID pandemic, and Memphis came in and beat the Warriors in the second of the 2 play-in games. So the Warriors went from 8 to out in that 2021 play-in. So 0-2 record for the Dubs in the play-in at that point in this era, the Steve Kerr, Steph Curry, Draymond Green era. And then, of course, Warriors the following year going to win the championship in 22. So they were the 3 seed, no play-in. They got to the final day of the regular season 3 years ago, and it was the Warriors who had to win in Portland on that afternoon to avoid the play-in and play the Sacramento Kings in the first round. The Warriors did win that game and avoided the play-in. So the Warriors avoided the play-in in 22 and 23. Then we're back in the play-in in 2024 as the 10 seed 2 years ago in Sacramento. The Kings were the 9 seed, and the Kings, of course, extracted their revenge from the Warriors elimination game 7 in 23 by knocking the Warriors out in the play-in in 2024. Of course, the Kings wound up going on to lose to the Pelicans in the second game. So neither of the Northern California teams made the playoffs a couple of years ago. But the Warriors at that point, 0-3 in the play-in in 3 games played. And then, of course, last year, the Warriors, Gene, to give you your answer, they beat Memphis as the 7 seed hosting the 8, which was the Grizzlies, in the play-in tournament. In the first game, Warriors won, advanced, got the 7, went on to play Houston, beat Houston before Steph got hurt, and they lost to the Minnesota Timberwolves. So the Warriors 1-3 in the play-in in 4 games, advancing to the playoffs 1 time in the prior 3 opportunities in terms of years. So we get it rolling by speaking directly to the people here, as we often do on Dubs OT with JD right here on the Sports Leader. 808 KNBR, if you want to react to just this season as a whole. I mean, tonight is kind of one of those nights where, I mean, take a deep breath, take a deep breath, laugh, cry, be angry, whatever it is. I think if I do not by any means, I'm not going down the path here of what was being, muttered on the television broadcast for those, forced to watch the local feed here tonight with this was some successful season. Like this was so, if you tell me, Jimmy, like this is by no means a successful season for the Golden State Warriors. I don't care what your rubric is. Yeah, maybe if you thought that they would win 20 games, which of course they probably would win in the 20s if they had to play an entire season with the roster that they've had to play the last 2.5 to 3 months. By that account, it's still not even a successful season. This season has, for the most part, and we all understand why, but it has been, let's just be real, an unmitigated disaster with the Jimmy injury and then the Steph injury. And now, sure, you can look at the somewhat positive spin that the Warriors still get to have an opportunity to make the playoffs, despite what will go down as just the second losing season in the Steve Kerr era. Only the COVID-shortened season of 2019-2020, where the Warriors went 15-50 before everything got shut down and they didn't get invited to the bubble, had a losing campaign. And of course, that one riddled with injuries to not only Klay Thompson, but the loss of Kevin Durant, who had the Achilles and then left via free agency to head to Brooklyn. And then, of course, Steph Curry broke his hand in game 5 of that season and basically didn't play until March at all. And then everything got shut down about 5 to 7 days later after Steph Curry made his return after not playing for essentially 3.5 months. So under no circumstances is this a successful season by any means. And I believe, Gene, to bring up the 37 and 45. Yeah, 37 and 45 is not a playoff team. And I think I may be wrong. Maybe the Pelicans from a couple of years ago. I'm not going to look it up because frankly, I don't care. But I think the Warriors at 37, if they do find a way to win a couple of games in LA or at Phoenix/Portland, whoever loses the game that's going to be played on Tuesday night, I do think the Warriors would be among the worst, if not the worst, play-in team. I think the Pelicans actually did win fewer games, or maybe they won 38. Anyway, I'll look back at it at some point. The Pelicans team that wound up maybe in that 2022 year where the Warriors won the title, that Pelicans team might have had 36 or 37 wins and won a couple of play. But yeah, in the play-in era, I think 37's right up there among the worst, certainly in the Western Conference in terms of teams that would have the worst records to wind up navigating their way through the play-in to earn themselves a playoff spot. So I'll look that one up. Kyle, you want me to look that one up? Kyle, I know you want me to look that one up, right? What was the 2022 Pelicans record? Is that what we need to look up here?
We may have to.
Pelicans. They were 36 and 46. So the Pelicans actually did have a worse record. I just found it very quickly. The Pelicans were 36 and 46. They were in the spot that the Warriors are currently. Actually, I take that back. They were in the 9 spot that year. The Spurs at 34 and 48 made the 10 spot that year in the play-in. This is the year the Warriors won the title and were the 3 seed. So the Pelicans beat the Spurs as the 9 versus 10 and then beat the Clippers, interestingly enough, who won 42 games that year. So they were 6 games worse than the Clippers and then went in and beat the Clippers down at Staples Center that year. And made the playoffs and ended up playing. I think it was Phoenix that was the 1 seed that year when the Warriors ended up winning the title, and Dallas ended up knocking out Phoenix as the 4 versus 1 in that year. So they won't be the worst team if the Warriors win a couple of games. But yeah, Robert, I had a hard time. The only thing I remember was New Orleans. I just remember, and this is because I am a true sicko. I remember being in Denver during the first round of the playoffs. And I remember watching Phoenix play the Pelicans in the first round of the playoffs. Like I remember being in the Denver hotel at the bar, basically having an old fashioned, watching the late game. Cause I think the Warriors and the Nuggets had played an afternoon game in Denver. I remember getting back from the game, prior radio life, and watching, and that's where I remember the Pelicans played the Suns that one year, and I remember them being really bad and knocking out the Clippers in the play-in. So yeah, that in this current iteration, a 36-win team has made the playoffs as a 9 seed even, and advanced at that point. Gene, wow, we can officially say the play-in isn't working. teams are still tanking, and the 37 wins should not qualify. I agree with you. 37 wins shouldn't qualify. And, I mean, you look at the Clippers. The Clippers did wind up winning 42 on the year, and they had the note on the telecast. The Clippers become the first team in NBA history to go from 15 under 500 to finish over 500. That had never happened before in NBA history. The Clippers were 6-21 at the beginning of the year, and they started to get on a roll. Now that, if you want to say, is somewhat impressive. If you want a golf clap for being 6-21, and then, oh, by the way, trading your second best player and maybe your third best player in the middle of the year, and still having enough to keep it going to get to the point where you win 42 games from being 15 under 500. That I will give a golf clap as relatively impressive. Nothing about what the Warriors did this year is impressive. I mean, there are some individual, I think, performances that we can get to, and we will here as we kind of lay out the show. But I don't think there's anything collectively that you can look at. I mean, this season has been a complete failure because of injury, I think, mainly. But let's not sugarcoat it one iota here as we kind of break everything down on Dubs OT and tie a bow on this season. So 808 KMBR 415-808-5627. Not a lot of thoughts on the game tonight, although we will get into some things that maybe matter in terms of some of the matchups. Maybe the Clippers look like maybe they found a couple of guys who hadn't been in their rotation in Bogdan Bogdanovic and also Mathurin, Benedict Mathurin, who had not been basically in the rotation. They wound up going for 37 combined, 20 for Mathurin. Mathurin always seems to play well against the Warriors. Bogdanovic historically seems to always play well against the Warriors. Mathurin, a very similar type player to Kuminga. I think a better player than Kuminga, but kind of a similar mercurial player that Indiana wound up trading and getting Ivica Zubac for. And of course, the pick protections and odd draft picks going back and forth with the Pacers basically giving up their first round pick if it lands within a certain range. It's top 4 protected, but if it lands 5 through 9, the Clippers get it. If it ends up beyond 9, 10 on, then the Pacers keep it, in addition to if it's top 4. So kind of one of the more interesting trades in the NBA. If anything tonight, not a lot of bright spots for the Warriors other than Steph looked healthy, I thought, tonight, and comfortable. And the Clippers potentially maybe finding a couple of rotation pieces that might fit and be able to play in the game on Wednesday night. But we will get into some of the matchups as we head toward the finish line here on Dubs OT. But let's get to the phones. Let's go to our buddy Danny in Vancouver, who's going to get it tipped off for us tonight here on the Sports Leader. As 82 are in the books. Warriors finished 37-45, and it's on to the play-in. Danny, what's going on tonight, my friend?
Nice to talk to you as always, JD. I agree with you and Euro Gene on 37 wins being a joke. It just shouldn't be. I don't care what team it is. They shouldn't be allowed in the playoffs at 37 wins. But I just think it just diminishes the league. So I was actually watching the Clippers feed, and it was a pretty good feed. I only got the Clippers feed where I am. There wasn't too much homerism. I think the worst in the league is Memphis. The Memphis, by the way, is probably the biggest homers in the league. So they're just awful. But the Clips are pretty good feed, and they weren't. I didn't get to see the local feed. So I know the game was meaningless, JD, but it was hard to watch. Steph was looking good, so that's great. I thought the Warriors really missed Draymond tonight. Really missed Draymond. The Clippers never looked like they were in danger of losing this game. And, of course, Kawhi wasn't playing. So that was, we missed Draymond, they missed Kawhi. So, I'm not sure, but I don't know how you felt, but I didn't think the Clippers ever looked like they were in any danger of losing that game.
Well, it's funny. I'll jump in real quick, Danny. It's funny because as much as we can debate, Clippers versus Portland and who's the better matchup, because we kind of have to do it. It's part of the job, right? What's the better matchup? I do think the Clippers are the better matchup for the Warriors compared to them and Portland. That being said, though, the Clippers have a handful of players, and I mentioned Mathurin, I mentioned Bogdanovic, And even John Collins tends to play well against the – they have those three guys don't typically play well against a lot of other teams, and it's part of the reason why the Clippers, in addition to the trade that they made, the trades in the middle of the year, are part of why they have, and the bad start, the record that they wound up with at 42-40. But they have a handful of guys who tend to play up against the Warriors, and I just don't think. And if you go back to the March matchup, Draymond was on Kawhi the most. In terms of that was when the Warriors sort of made a shift to having Draymond guard more wing players as opposed to bigs, because Porzingis and Horford were going to be in the mix as the bigs. But it's interesting. Garland really gave it to the Warriors that game. He had 15 tonight. He didn't really hit threes in the game tonight, but Garland I thought was okay, solid tonight. You get Kawhi obviously coming back for them, and then you've got Dunn and Derek Jones, who are defenders that you can put along with Kawhi on Steph at different points in the game. And then you've got the three in Collins, Mathurin, and you look at Collins, Mathurin, and Bogdanovich, who in the last two, I mean, the Warriors would be lucky if Ty Lue just sticks with, hey, these guys are not in my plans, but I kind of feel like they're going to be in Ty Lue's plans now, because they historically both have played pretty well against the Warriors. So I kind of feel like the Clippers maybe found something, and for whatever reason, the Warriors, it's going to be a different look with Draymond, but nobody really, I felt, played well tonight other than Steph, and that doesn't bode well either for looking at any shot at surviving Wednesday night and seeing what's left for Friday.
Great points, JD. I agree with that. I besides their shooting woes tonight, I mean, how many open threes did the Clippers get, and the blow by layups? Do you remember? I might be too old. You might be too young to adult, but do you remember the expression Linda Ronstadt, the baseball expression, "blew by you"? Do you remember that?
I don't. I do not.
So there was
I do not.
I'll tell you, it's pretty funny. You'll like this. There's a broadcaster in the 80s, and he coined this term in baseball. It's called a Linda Ronstadt, because she had a big hit called "Blew by You," and Linda Ronstadt is when you get blown by a fastball pitch and you just look ridiculous. So how many Linda Ronstadts did we see tonight, JD? Please, how many times did they blow by? Way too many. So that was a real problem tonight. So I don't know. I'm hoping they're going to tighten things up a bit on Wednesday. Obviously I'd like the season to be to keep going, but if it's not, I hope it's not the last. By the way, I meant to say I hope it's not the last Just Dub show, because the one on Saturday was phenomenal. I got to listen to it, and you really covered a lot of ground. So thank you for that. Anyways, those are my thoughts, my friend. You have a good night.
Yep, Danny, I appreciate it, and we'll hopefully we'll talk on Wednesday and Friday, and maybe even next week as well, if this thing can continue going. It's not looking too optimistic, but no, thank you for the kind words, and yeah, if the Warriors do go out, just to let everybody know, if they do go out Wednesday or Friday, we will have a Just Dubs for you on Saturday. It is going to be a YouTube podcast only. If they do wind up pulling it off and winning 2, then I'm going to have to be in the air from wherever to Oklahoma City at that time. So we won't be able to do one, but we will have more shows coming, obviously, on Dubs OT. And by the way, they released the schedule, Kyle, and thanks, Danny. We appreciate it. They released the schedule, Kyle. I know we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but we know the Warriors are playing the Clippers Wednesday night. We know if they win, they play the loser of Portland and Phoenix on Friday night on the road. Whoever loses that game, the Warriors will travel either to Portland or to Phoenix should they win on Wednesday. We also know that if the Warriors do pull off the miracle and they do win Wednesday and they do win Friday, they are going to play at 2:30 Central Time in the afternoon on Sunday. So they would have a late game on Friday night and then play what amounts to a 12:30 Pacific time game on Sunday. The NBA did release that schedule, and I'm looking at it right now. It'll be 12:30 Pacific on ABC between the Warriors or whoever ends up with the 8 seed. Whether it's it could be the Warriors obviously could be any of these teams remaining of the four, Warriors or the Clippers, or the Suns or the Blazers. But yeah, so that they will have a quick turnaround should they wind up pulling it off. And then we'll see what the schedule maker bodes after that point. But yeah, we're going to be here for you. If the Warriors go down, we got a YouTube only Saturday. And then if they don't, obviously we'll have a show for you after the game on Sunday when the Warriors would obviously be at that point in the first round of the playoffs. 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627. We appreciate Danny in Vancouver for getting us rolling here tonight. Dubs OT with JD on the Sports Leader. Kyle, let's get to the chat here coming up. And I don't have very many thoughts, honestly, on the game overall tonight. Warriors found themselves up 26-25 at the end of the first quarter. They led a majority of the first quarter. They were good when Steph Curry was in the game, +6. He had 8 in the first quarter. Warriors had the 4-point play to close out the quarter. It was interesting. Kings and Blazers were actually tied at the end of the first quarter in Portland. And so you're thinking, what's going to happen here? Could the Clippers win and maybe the Blazers lose and things flip and the Warriors are going to Portland instead of LA? Didn't happen because Portland had a huge second quarter up in Oregon against the Kings, and it ended up being what did it end up being for them? I thought I texted it to you, Kyle, and I'm trying to find it in my text. Yeah, it ended up being a 44-24 Blazers second quarter. So they led by 20 at the half, and then were up double digits, 9 to 15, 16 most of the second half. But the Warriors ended up down 52-48 at the half. They were down by 2 going to the fourth quarter. The only real question going to the fourth quarter was going to be, would Steph come back after playing 24 minutes through the first 3 quarters? And he did come back. He played about a 5-6 minute stretch in the fourth quarter, ended up only with a bucket. He only took 1 shot and hit a couple of free throws for his 2 points in the fourth quarter. And the plan was to get him about 30 minutes. He ended up playing about 29 minutes in the game. Brandon Pajemski had the little bit of what looked like maybe a knee or an ankle tweak or got banged knee on knee early in the first quarter. He ended up coming back in the game, so no injury concern as it relates to Pajemski there. Pajemski does the Iron Man for the season. He ends up playing all 82 for the Warriors, one of, I think, about 18 or 19 players in the whole league that ended up playing in all 82 games for the 2025-26 campaign. So that a feat in an era, obviously, of injuries and missed games that should be commended no matter what you think of Brandon Pajemski and his overall game. He really has stepped up and I do think improved. To what level, I think remains to be seen. And you know, how much did the improvement in terms of some of the numbers truly matter? I don't think we're going to know the answer to that question until next year when he's back on a team that has some greater expectations than that of this team. But I do think Pajemski ended up being, over the last month, at least in terms of the numbers, somewhat of a bright spot in the final stretch of what really got bleak. It really got bleak for the Warriors here in this final 4 weeks. I think I give the Warrior fan base a hell of a lot of credit for maintaining their engagement level up until really, I think this thing got to about the end of that long road trip with the Warriors. To me, I think the point in which it really turned and Warrior fans were like, all right, we're done with this thing now, was when Moses Moody had the patella that night on what, Monday, about 3 weeks ago, when they were in Dallas to end that 6-game road trip, and Moody goes down with the torn patella. I think that was the night that basically broke Dub Nation. And everybody is like, all right, I'm done with this. It's on to baseball season. We'll see you in the play-in. We'll see you in the play-in at that point. And then move on. Yes, a bunch of sickos. But yeah, Robert, just real quick, JD, you going to Portland or Phoenix if they win, right? Yes, absolutely. I will be there. I will be along for the ride, however far it goes. If they go LA to Portland, I'll be there. If they go LA to Phoenix, I'll be there. If they go LA to Portland to OKC, or LA to Phoenix to OKC, hell, I might rent a car. And just go from LA to Phoenix to OKC, just a straight shot through at that point. Just hop on I-10 and go. at that point to get all the way back. No, we're here for you as far as this thing goes. All right, let's get to some Kyle's clicks. 808 KMBR if you want to jump in and join on the phone lines. Kyle, I'm going to give you the controls here. Aaron Cliff chiming in. Positive note. Steph looks solid, which is nice to see. Agree with everyone, though. Rough season. Maybe 1 or 2 games left. I thought Steph moved a lot more fluidly than he did on Friday night against Sacramento. And I thought he moved a lot more fluidly tonight than he did in the second game back, which was also against Sacramento, the home game against Sacramento. Just seemed like he was, and I know he said that the knee actually at the end of the Sacramento game on Friday night felt better at that point. And by the way, ESPN and the Inside the NBA crew, they put up the list of players right now. They have the list of players that played in all 82 games this season. And I'm looking at it right now. It looks like it's 18. I'm looking at right now. Desmond Bain. I'm going to give everybody a shout out. I'm going to give all these guys a shout. I paused the screen. I'm going to give all these guys a shout out. Players who played all 82 games this year, highlighted by Brandon Pajemski. Brandon Pajemski for the Warriors. Desmond Bain played all 82. All right, you ready for some golf claps here and some cheer? And we won't belabor it, but I'm an all 82 kind of guy. So I'm going to give Brandon Pajemski, Desmond Bain, Dante DiVincenzo, Sion James, Michael Bridges, who has done it a bunch of times. Michael Bridges has done it. And Chris Dunn, Keldon Johnson, Bruce Brown, Jeremiah Fears, Jake LaRavia, Tumani Kamara, Javonte Green, we mentioned Pajemski, Bub Carrington, Jay Huff, Jamal Shed, Julian Champagny, Oso Iguodaro of the Suns, and Reed Shepherd. All played all 82, and no, I don't think all 18 are in contract years. That's right. And we appreciate everyone who was here for all 82 Dubs OTs. I think there was technically only 76. But yeah, I think most of the all 82 interpretations are positive interpretations. All right, Kyle, back to you, man. But I did want to pause for that because we were just talking about it. And then we had Inside the NBA on ESPN popped up here, and they were given a nod to the 18 guys who played all 82. Diggum, Warriors going to troll all of us and win Wednesday watch. Wouldn't surprise me. It absolutely wouldn't surprise me. I mean, I think all of the teams that the Warriors could play this week, and I'm not counting OKC, but among the play-in tournament, all the team, whether it's the Clippers or Phoenix or Portland, the Warriors could win a one-off against those teams. There's no question. The Warriors haven't obviously won against the Clippers in a long time. And tonight, I don't think necessarily bodes well with Kawhi being out and so many of the Clippers players looking so comfortable against the Warriors. Again, I mentioned 3 guys specifically. I don't think John Collins and Bogdanovich and Mathurin have not, for the most part, played well against anybody. I know Bogdanovich has been hurt, but they play well against the Warriors. Derek Jones is kind of a pest against the Warriors. He didn't do a ton tonight. Chris Dunn is someone who gives Steph Curry at least makes him work for it. And the Clippers have, I think, 2, 3, 4 guys that can all kind of make Steph Curry work for it. And we know what Ty Lue's going to do, especially with the Warriors void of a true second option. Ty Lue's going to take the ball out of his hands, and he's going to make others. And I think that's going to have to be a big focal point when the Warriors are not at the beach here over the next 3 days down in LA, is going to be, how do you beat the double? How do you beat the trap? Because the Warriors would always feel comfortable playing 4-on-3, assuming they don't turn it over, and Steph getting rid of the ball and putting the ball in Draymond's hands or in somebody else's hands and then moving it around. But you could make the case this team doesn't have enough alternative playmakers and or shot makers to be able to win, even playing 4-on-3 against this Clippers team the way they're going to defend it. So we know Ty Lue's going to do that. We know they're going to be physical with Steph. So this game isn't going to be a picnic in the 9-10 matchup, but it would not surprise me at all, Diggum, if the Warriors trolled everybody and won in the play-in game number 1 and found themselves up at Moda Center in Portland on Friday or down in Phoenix on Friday night in a second elimination game. EB here, Kerr didn't show his poker hand tonight. He told the guys to just run around and check it when you're chuck it when you're open. Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's a fair point. You knew that. I don't think the Clippers showed anything tonight. I think they just kind of played. But you kind of know what the game plan is going to be. And, of course, the Clippers didn't show anything because they didn't play their best player in Kawhi Leonard, and two teams in two different positions right there, because the Warriors needed to get Steph some minutes, and Steph wanted minutes to try and get into a rhythm to where he'd be able to make an impact on Wednesday. And Kawhi's like, nah, I just don't want to get hurt and don't want to play in a meaningless game. And the Portland Trailblazers are probably going to win against Sacramento anyway, which they did. And so nothing the Clippers would have done tonight would have mattered regardless. They would have still been hosting the Warriors down at Intuit Dome on Wednesday night. So, yeah, I don't think either team showed their hand by any stretch of the imagination. Let's keep it rolling in the chat. Appreciate everybody here. 808 KMBR. Porzingis has fallen off a cliff. Yeah, the missed time. Like, I thought Porzingis was getting in a nice rhythm. I really did. And then he missed a couple of games, and the last two games back have not been good for Kristaps Porzingis at all. And tonight he ends up, 0 for 4 from 3. He is getting in foul trouble more and more over the course of the last week. Even the Houston game a week ago tonight on Easter Sunday was not the best game for Kristaps Porzingis. But defensively, I think Porzingis in particular, and I say that while acknowledging he didn't even hit a 3 tonight, but Porzingis defensively has been pretty bad. Teams have kind of exposed him a lot more. Like, he can block a shot, but if you get him out, away from the bucket a little bit, you can out physical him. You can go by him. I don't disagree, Binary. I think Porzingis has been a little shakier, and to the point where, again, every game he plays to this point is going to have some semblance of a determining factor as to the money he makes. I think, I've been pretty open in saying when we start to forecast, what are some of these salaries going to look like moving forward? I think Podziemski's going to be a $20 million a year player. I don't think Porzingis is going to be a $20 million a year player for next year. And again, he's making about 31 this year, 30.7, I believe. I think Podziemski, and again, next year, obviously it's set. He's right around 5, a little under 6. But then with the extension, I think he is going to become, talking about Podziemski, a $20 million a year AAV player. I would expect that. I also, though, think Porzingis is going to be more like in the 15 to 17 range. For a 1 year, maybe maybe the Warriors give him an option for the second year that's his option. To entice him to know that, basically guarantee him 30 for 2, something like that. But also give him the ability to opt out if he stays healthy and performs at an extremely high level to go have the potential to earn elsewhere at a greater level. JC Mack, KP, and Steph are still not in sync. I wholeheartedly agree with this. That was another thing I had bookmarked on my notes here. Although it wasn't a lengthy list. We also need to feed big men in the post more than just making them screeners. I think one thing I do think we're going to see Wednesday, I do think the Warriors are going to look to get the ball to Porzingis down low and in that mid post or at the high post to where he can turn and shoot or turn and kind of post up and make a move. I think they're going to look to get it to Horford in the post on Wednesday night. Those are two areas by which I think, both have been at their most successful in their time with the Warriors have been when they've, the little pick and roll, dump, mismatch, mouse in the house. And how can you not be a mouse in the house going up against Porzingis? He's 7'3" for crying out loud. But the little post up to Horford too. Joke's on you. He just looks slower. He's no longer interested. The Warriors lost the trade because of who they got back. No, I don't disagree with that. I do disagree with that. I don't think he's not interested. Now we can debate whether he looks slow or not. I think that's a fair criticism. I don't think the Warriors lost the. I don't think we can truly adjudicate who won or lost the trade until we see whether Porzingis comes back and what level he's able to play next year. If you're telling me Porzingis doesn't come back and they lose the slot, they lost the trade. If you're telling me Porzingis comes back and he is a similar, albeit better version of the player that he's been to this point, I think the Warriors won the trade at that point. If he's somebody that comes back at 15 to 17 million and can't stay on the court and only plays like 30 games next year, if it's and has minimal impact, then I think we're having a debate as to whether or not they lost the trade or not. Way too early for me to say that. And again, I think the Kuminga portion of the trade is completely irrelevant at this point because he wasn't doing anything for the Warriors for the remainder of his career. But I know you didn't say that. I said that. Curry probably going to have to go for 50. I don't know. Maybe 35 or 40, and that's going to be hard to do because I think the number one thing on the Clippers Intuit Dome locker room bulletin board is going to be get the ball out of Steph's hands. Be physical with Steph and get the ball out of his hands, especially if he gets on a heater. But I don't think they want to allow for Steph to get on a heater. That's going to be the chess match. Is at what point do the Clippers do the Clippers roll with the make sure you take everybody else away, but try to be physical with Steph and hope he doesn't go off for 45 or 50? And if he starts to, you start doubling him. Do you just start doubling him immediately? And then that potentially allows for the Warriors to get others in rhythm, because I think the Warriors are going to be, at least on paper, ready for the fact that the Clippers historically, and Ty Lue historically, will take the ball out of his hands. And so I think that's going to be really interesting. And if they do take the ball out of his hands, obviously it's going to be on others to make shots. And this is where Ian J chimes in. Someone else besides Steph is going to have to come along for the ride. Totally agree. I don't know if it's Porzingis, Horford, Pods, who is it going to be? I mean, the most likely candidates at this point, Melton, they could use a game where Melton actually hits some shots versus not. We're kind of overdue for a Guy Santos game. I know he played limited minutes and came off the bench tonight. So I think, somebody, when the Warriors have won some of these games, it's been Guy, it's been Melton, it's been Horford, it's been Porzingis, and now obviously along with Steph. So I think it's going to have to be one of those guys who ends up, and maybe a couple of them that wind up having to go for 20 to be able to have the Warriors get the win, almost regardless of what Steph does, although they are going to need a big game from Steph Curry to be sure. 808 KMBR, 415-808-5627. Kyle, how we doing here? I know we need to take a break before the top of the 9 o'clock hour. That's a given. Can we get, let me know what we can get away with, though. Can we go to about 54, or do we have to
let's go another 9-10 minutes.
Okay, so we can go about 54, 55. You can text me the exact, you can text me the drop dead time. You can text me the time that it has to be before we get an email for going too long. And I'll make sure that we take our first time out at that point. And so we're rolling through here with more in the YouTube chat. Dubs OT with JD here on this Sunday on the Sports Leader. JD, what do you think the chances are they will survive the play-in? I don't know. I mean, I think it's winning both. Like, what percentage would I give the Warriors to win both games? I don't know, 33%, 30%, 35% to win both games. I know some are going to say, JD, that's way too optimistic. I don't know, Kyle, when I say 30, if I say 33%, the chances the Warriors win both play-in games, does that feel high to you? Does that feel high or low? It's okay, to be honest.
Feels a little high. It feels a little high. I think I'm closer to that 20-25% if we were to put a number on it.
Like I'm smoking the good stuff high, or like just a little high?
Yeah, just a little bit. Just a little. That nice little tipsy feeling,
Okay. All right. I don't know. You can tell me. Am I a little too on the hopium? More like 18, says Dickham. Yeah, feel free. Keep them coming. Feel free. We can adjust the check. Give us your percent smoking. Oh, wow. Okay, Robert. Wow. Damn, Robert. And what's in your red cup tonight, my friend? Like you are many Kolsch's in. Okay. So 33 is a little high. All right. Again, I think that's an indictment of the teams that they're playing for me. Like, I don't think I think any of the three could beat the Warriors, but I don't feel like there's that one team that I look at and go, oh, well, they're definitely beating the Warriors, right? It's not like if they were playing Minnesota or something, something like that. If they were playing the Lakers, let's say with two of the three between Luka, LeBron, and Reeves, I'd say, oh yeah, they're done. They're losing that game. Like, I don't feel like any of these teams are absolute locks to be able to show up and play a winning game. So for that reason, it increases the Warriors' chances. Now, again, maybe we're talking about maybe I am increasing their chances a little more than others would, but I'm going to call it 33 because I think formally I'm going to say 30 to 35. So I'm going to say I'm going to call it 32.5. I'm going to give it a third, so slightly under a third. I'm going to call it a 32.5% chance of the Warriors winning both games. That's fine. You can we can agree to disagree. The people think I'm on it. The people think I'm hitting it.
I think where I stand is even if Steph goes for 35-40, like there still needs to be two other guys that can help out in the scoring, and I just don't know. And this has been a common theme throughout the season. We just don't know who those 2 to 3 other guys are who are going to provide scoring on this roster.
I'm telling you, I'm giving you a 67.5% chance it doesn't happen. So I don't know. I just it's not exactly like I'm betting on it to happen. I think it's 2 to 1 not going to happen. At this point, if you look at it. All right, let's continue in the chat here. We'll go about another 5 minutes or so, and then we'll take our first time out. Dubs OT with JD. Warriors lose tonight to the Clippers, 115 to 110. They finish up the season at 37-45, so 8 games under 500. It is the second worst regular season that the Warriors have had in the Steve Kerr era, and even going back to the Mark Jackson era. This is this is right up there with the third worst season that the Warriors have had basically in the last 15. So if you even go all the way back to 2011, 2012, which was a lockout shortened season, the first year of Mark Jackson, first year of Klay Thompson, that was even before Draymond and Klay. Klay's rookie year was before Draymond and Harrison Barnes were on the team. That was a losing year. And that would be the next losing year prior to the COVID year in 2020, and then obviously 2026 here with the Warriors. Never would have guessed they would only win 37, although it definitely was on the table. I think the night that, and I want to say we might have to go back and check the tape. I think I want to say 37-38 is about what I would have projected the night that Jimmy went down, but we also didn't know Steph was going to miss as many games at that point. But it was definitely on the table if Steph was going to miss time that they were going to have and they end up 8 under. They were 6 over, so they went 14 under after the Jimmy Butler trade. And let's just for a point of clarity bring that up. What were the Warriors that night on January the 19th on the MLK holiday when they won the game against Miami but lost Jimmy Butler for the season? So looking at the schedule and kind of running through it there. What do we got? Where do we got the schedule? Give me the schedule. There we go. The Warriors were, after that game, they were 25-19. So the Warriors they were 25-19 at that point. So they ended up with 12 more wins and 20. They ended up 12-25 to close that season. So yeah, 13 under 500. Is that right? I think I'm off by 1 on that. What were they that night? They were Yeah, 25-19. So they end up 12-26. There we go. 12-26. Now I got the math. I got the math right. 12-26, 14 under for the Warriors after the Jimmy Butler trade. And again, that is about a 26 win pace if you were to play that over an 82 game season. That would be about a 26 win, about a 26-27 win pace over an 82 game season. So still not good enough to get in the highest lottery odds, by the way, at that point. EB here, Warriors 28% 3-point shooting, definitely will go up the next time they play. I'm going 40%. They get the 8 seed. Wow. I feel like EB tends to skew more on the negative side, and EB's going higher than I am in terms of the percentage chance you give the Dubs to advance to the playoffs and win these 2 games on the road in LA and at Portland/Phoenix, who will go at it on Tuesday night down in Phoenix, by the way. And then the loser gets to host the winner of the Clipper Warrior game coming up here on Friday. So 5 nights from tonight. One more. All right, let's take a timeout. Let's take the break. 808 KMBR 415-808-5627. Still time to sneak in some calls. We'll get to the Golden State Lumber and Showroom text line as well. We'll have our sounds of Dubs OT and just more thoughts on this season overall. We'll look ahead at the matchups in some of the other playoff series as well. As the Warriors lose tonight to the Clippers, 115-110. They'll take on the Clippers again down in Inglewood on Wednesday. We're here. We're talking about it. It's Dubs OT with JD on the Sports Leader.
Dub Nation, this is the real and inside story on Warriors basketball. Dubs OT with John Dickinson continues. Streaming live at twitch.tv/thesportsleader.
A lot more transition, flow offense, running the floor, a lot less half-court sets, a lot less time of possession, so there's a lot of transition in between. And I think as time goes on, you're just going to see more and more players are more skilled, and so the amount of force you got to generate on your body, both offense and defense, consistently over time, I think that's what makes it difficult.
All right, so there you go. Brandon Pajemski talking about what makes it so difficult to play all 82 as Pajemski becomes one of 18 players, we listed them all earlier, who played in all 82 games for this 2025-2026 campaign. We're back here. It's Dubs OT with JD. We're in the second hour already. My goodness, that first hour flew by here. 808 KNBR, the number, 415-808-5627. Warriors lose tonight. Wound up being a moot point because the Clippers couldn't move up. Portland beat the Kings tonight, so Portland claims the 8th seed going into the play-in tournament. Portland at Phoenix on Tuesday. The loser of that game will take on the winner of the Warriors-Clippers game on Wednesday night. That's going to be down in Inglewood, 7 o'clock. Get your streaming passwords in order because all of the play-in tournament is exclusively on Amazon Prime Video, the entire play-in tournament. So every game, 2 games on Tuesday, 2 games on Wednesday, 2 games on Friday, a public service announcement. Make sure you got your Amazon Prime subscriptions ready to roll. Because if you want to watch those games, that is the only place that you are going to be able to do so during the course of this week. And, of course, the game, if the Warriors can advance and beat the Clippers, they will play on the road again, either at Phoenix or at Portland on Friday, and that will also be a 7 o'clock tip. And we'll have Dubs OT for you after both of those games, one or both. If it's only Wednesday, we're here for you. If it's only Friday, we're here for you. And again, we'll be with you for just Dubs if the Warriors do wind up going out on Saturday on the YouTube stream only. So 808 KNBR, 415-808-5627, Golden State Lumber and Showroom text line underway. 408 chiming in, being that far under 500 and still having any opportunity to get into the playoffs is why the NBA is absolute trash. And as far as the Warriors go, they should have sucked it up and traded Curry and Green 2 years ago and hit the reset button. There you go. It's our nightly KNBR listener. Should have traded Curry when they were a 46-win team. Text here on Dubs OT. Let's see. Jay, a couple on 510 chiming in with the kind of high that I'm on to think that they have a 32.5% chance to advance to the playoffs by winning Wednesday and Friday. I'll leave out the drug, but it's a strong one. 408. JD, do you think if the Warriors somehow got to OKC and won that series, then this season is a big success? I mean, have a freaking parade. I mean, it's like if the Warriors with this team could beat Oklahoma City, I mean, I would give that like a 0.0000000000001 chance of happening. This team beating OKC in a 7-game series, like 0.0000000000001. All right, maybe 2, but a lot of zeros in front of it. That would be like, I mean, that would be, I think that would be like greater than we believe, to be honest. Now, again, maybe people think I'm too crazy on that front. If this Warriors, because remember that Mavs team was not a defending champion Mavs team. They had lost the year before in the finals. The Warriors had kind of had their number in the regular season. Like I don't know. I mean, I think it would be a great. This would be one of the most miraculous upsets if it happened in NBA history. Robert Brown might be Curry's greatest accomplishment. I mean, the Thunder are awesome. I don't care if you like their style of play or not. I mean, they won the freaking championship. I mean, they got the reigning MVP of the league, and play excellent defense and have a lot of good players and bigs and wings. And I mean, I think it would be a greater accomplishment than and you're right, Robert. I mean, I don't think it would be Curry's greatest accomplishment, but it would be one that would definitely add to the legacy if he was able to beat that team as a 37-win play-in team that gets to the playoffs because they win 2 road games. And then you're telling me they're going to win 2 road games and then they're going to win 4 of 7 against OKC? That would be unreal. So, yeah, I may give them a 33% chance or a 32.5% chance of getting there. I'm giving them a 0% chance. Will there be a just dubs on Saturday if the Warriors lose on Wednesday? Yes. Short answer, yes. If the Warriors lose Wednesday, for sure, we've got a just dub Saturday, 10 until 12. If they lose on Friday, I think we're going to have one as well. If they lose on Friday, it'll just be wherever I am, Portland or Phoenix. We'll have one. And then, yeah, if they win, the only way we're not having a just dubs is if they win both. But if they win both, then that means we're going to have a dubs OT on Sunday. So that'll just take the place of just dubs. The fact that we'll actually have a dubs OT that most people think I'm high to think that there's a 32% chance we're having a dubs OT on Sunday at about, what would that be? 3:00, about 3:15 here. And I think that one would be a YouTube that we probably could actually get on the Sports Leader, because I think the Giants are still playing in the East Coast. So we probably could get that one on the radio and on the YouTube. Maybe we'll start that one on the YouTube and then kick it over to the radio at some point. Once our guy Kyle Hart wrangles up Lasky and says, "All right, bud, time to go. Kick it at Jay. I mean, Lasky can co-host with me if he wants. Like, we can just do a little crossover. No, Giants or whatever. And all right. Warriors get beat by 40 in OKC in game 1, because that's going to be a hell of a quick turnaround. Play it Friday night and then having to play Sunday if it happens. Hey, Beer Man, you want a quick comment on that, Kyle, or you want to let that one go? You can let that one go.
No. I have a very quick comment. There are plenty of guys that he gets on interviews that played in the MLB in like the 80s, and I haven't heard of him. But but shout out to Bill. Sure. He got Cal Ripken Jr. on the show. So that if anyone wants to check that out, that's up on the KMBR podcast. But yeah, one of the few that I'm like, oh yeah, know that guy.
Look, I love listening to Bill, and yeah, Cal. I mean, not everybody has the Cal Ripken Jr. pull. That's awesome. that's freaking awesome. Actually, that's pretty sweet. Just on trends alone, the smart money is on the Clippers. I don't disagree with that. I would favor the Clippers. And again, I am often a prisoner of the moment. I get accused of leaning a little too much on what I've just seen. But I'm just looking at the Clippers roster, and I'm thinking, to me, the Clippers have more players up and down their roster that are more apt to play up and have a game against the Warriors that's greater than you might expect them to have, than if you look at the Warriors roster and say, hey, these two or three guys are going to step up and have a game against the Clippers to help them, win in advance. And it's not to say that Bogdanovich or Collins are one of those guys who do it again. I mean, but to me, or Mathurin or whoever, but they're also adding Kawhi back to the mix. Warriors adding Draymond, Clippers adding Kawhi. And again, I don't think you really can take much away. I just think they have more players that have the ability of having a game against the Warriors than the Warriors do having guys that would have a game against the Clippers. That's how I would categorize it. So I would favor the Clippers going into Wednesday night's game as well. So yeah, no disagreement, Beer Man, on that. Florida Dubs fan. Dubs have been in the play-in 4 times. They may lead the league. I think Miami is the only team, and I saw the list. Do I have it here? I took a picture of the list. They put the list up, and I'm not sure it transferred. Let me see.
I feel like Chicago made it, was just stuck in the 10 seed for what, 3-4 years too.
Chicago had been in there. Chicago had been in there for sure. I'm looking at it. I don't have it on my notes. I saved it on the, not to bring everybody fully behind the curtain, but remember the whole, the conversation. So I use a phone to basically be able to connect to the stream and everything. And I saved it on that. I saved it on that phone, and it hasn't transferred over to the other phone, the screen grab that I had of it earlier. So I don't have it up right now.
Atlanta and Miami lead with 6.
Yeah. Okay. I was just saying, I think Miami for sure. Atlanta didn't. They made the actual tournament this year. Okay. So I thought I remembered Miami. Atlanta is the other one. So good. It's good knowledge. It's good knowledge. You chat GPT that, Kyle? A little Gemini or whatever it is. What's the
Google Gemini. One? Yeah.
Yeah. A little Gemini for you. All right. That's good. They lead the West, but Miami, Heat culture, and the Atlanta Hawks have been in the play-in more than the Warriors have. But yeah, this is the 4th time for Golden State. Let's keep it rolling here. Kawhi didn't even play tonight, and they still lost. That is a fact. Although again, I'm not necessarily. I don't think either team showed a lot, other than the Clippers. I think showed that they have more good players than the Warriors do. I think that's if we're doing this in terms of. Let's just look at everybody's roster. Let's just call this a 4, what it is. It's a 4-team tournament for 2 spots, right? Between Warriors, Clippers, Phoenix, Portland. I think if you were going to rank the teams in terms of right now, who has the most talent, we could debate who has which team has the most good players, right? If we were just going to do that exercise, and I don't even care who's 1, 2, and 3. We can go through. And if you want to throw that in the chat, feel free. I think the Warriors are absolutely 4th in terms of which is, that's why they're 10th. That's why they're 37 and 45. But I think if we were just doing the exercise, hey, Portland, Phoenix, Warriors, Clippers, and you're ranking them 1 through 4 in terms of right now, no Jimmy, all the guys the Warriors have, who has the most good players? I think the Warriors would finish 4th on everybody's list. So, yeah, to that point. Now, does that mean they can't win a game on Wednesday? No. Does it mean they can't win 2? No, because I don't think these other teams are great. But again, it's going to be difficult. Let's continue here in the chat. In all seriousness, a career game is coming from somebody like Collins or Mathurin. It's happened all year, although maybe they burned it tonight. Maybe Collins. Collins had what? What did Collins have? Collins had 18 tonight. Mathurin had 20. I feel like both those. Mathurin had 29 and 8. Mathurin, people have argued Mathurin is a better player than Kuminga. Like, I know it hasn't been great for him in the Clippers. Like, Mathurin can put it on the deck. Mathurin's got a way better handle. Neither one of them shoot the three great, but like Mathurin does other stuff. Like, he's kind of more of a guard type. Like, give me Mathurin over Kuminga. I know, shocker. But those two have often found themselves grouped together. And yeah, Mathurin ended up leading scorer tonight in 32 minutes for the Clippers. He basically took the Kawhi role, I feel like, for the Clippers. The Clippers destroyed the Warriors tonight via the bench. That's another thing to keep an eye on. Again, it was 71-55 off the bench. And even though the Clippers don't have the bigs that they once did, and we talked about how Zubac has just been murder against the Warriors over his time in the league, not only with the Clippers, but before that with the Lakers. And they still owned the paint tonight, 54-46. And the Warriors with, only the not a heavy turnover night, only 10 turnovers in this game for the Warriors, but again, 17 points off those turnovers, which is kind of a lot. Anyone remember when the season began and the Warriors beat Denver? Good times. The Warriors beat Denver twice. Warriors beat Denver twice at Chase. Denver didn't win at Chase Center this year. They beat them twice. Beat them in the home opener, and they beat them coming out of the All-Star break on that Sunday afternoon without Steph and without Jimmy. They beat him twice. So, yeah, I mean, incredible. Warriors still have the best player of the four teams, even if they have the worst roster. Fair point, no disagreement. No disagreement on that. They do, which, again, gives them a chance, even if it's a 32.5 or maybe slightly less than 32.5% chance of being able. Let's not sugarcoat it, JD. This team is very, very poorly constructed. Are they poorly constructed? Or are they just under-talented? Like, are they poorly constructed if they had Jimmy? I mean, I don't know. Maybe they're still under-talented from what you want to be. I don't know that they're poorly constructed. And I think it's unfair to say because Jimmy Butler's out for the season on January 19th that now they're poorly constructed. I don't know. They've got a bunch of guards who can play. They've got now 2 and even 3, if you count Bassey, bigs that can play in Porzingis and Horford. If you had Jimmy and Moody, those are your best 2 wings, are Jimmy Butler and Moses Moody. You're a 3-4 and a 2-3 wing. Are they still short wings? Yes. Are they still short a lead guard off the bench that can score on his own? Yes. But if we're doing the exercise of looking at, are they still old and a little fragile? Yes. Which is why they're in the predicament they're in, where Steph missed 27 games here up until last week, and Jimmy went out for the year 3 months ago. I mean, that's why we're here. That's why we're having the conversation about them being 37-45 in the 10 seed and having to win 2 games on the road just to survive the week. I mean, that's why we're here. But I don't know that I would say poorly constructed. And I would have liked to have seen this team with Porzingis and Jimmy and Steph. And I would have liked to have seen what this team could have been had they made that trade at the deadline and were 6 to 8 games over 500, because that's what they were projecting to be at that point. Would they have gotten to 10 or 12 games over 500? I think they probably would have. Would that have mattered? I'm not sure. And you look at the way things ultimately shook out, and we'll get to some of the playoff matchups and all of that coming up here. But, what was their, could they have gotten to 49 and 33? I would say no. Could they have gotten to 46 or 47? Maybe. Again, they were 6 over at that point. We did and look, the Warriors had some ups and downs. But I mean, we did the math. I mean, Kyle, what 25 and 19, 44 games in? I mean, let's do the math on that. That's a 46 win pace. So would they have gotten to that? I think if there would have been games missed by Steph let's say Steph doesn't miss 27, but he misses maybe 7 to 10, and Jimmy misses a couple, but you have Porzingis. I don't know. I think, they were on pace to win 46 games, even with the ups and downs that they had, and that was before they made the trade to get Porzingis. So, could they have been? I think they would have been right there on the fringe of probably not enough to get to Minnesota at 49. Minnesota ended up 49-33 as the 6th seed. But I think they would have had a shot to be the 7 and ahead of Phoenix and knock Portland down to 9 and knock the Clippers down to 10. And that would have been that. I think it still would have been the same 10. It still would have been the same 10 that would have made it. But I think the Warriors would have had obviously more wins. And so I think they would have probably wound up 6 or 7. They would have wound up probably 7. And then that would have meant Phoenix 8. Maybe the Warriors end up 8, Phoenix 7, Warriors 8, Portland 9, Clippers 10. So they'd be the same 10 in the play-in, and I think the Warriors would still probably be in the play-in at that point. Celtics lost JT, and they did well, so some bad roster construction. Celtics have better players, man. Like, say what you want. I mean, Jaylen Brown at this point is a better player than Jimmy Butler. like without a doubt. Go through the Celtics roster. I mean, Derek White's better than anybody on the Warriors not named Steph or Jimmy, at that point. And then, you start looking around. And so I don't know. I mean, you also don't construct your roster with the belief that you're going to lose Steph and Jimmy. So the Celtics were able to construct their roster knowing they weren't going to have Tatum for the whole year. So maybe the Warriors do. I think they do. The Warriors should get the benefit of the doubt to where if they knew they weren't going to have Jimmy. And again, guess what? Now we do know. The Warriors know they're not going to have Jimmy at the beginning of next year. They know they're not going to have Moody at the beginning of next year. So can they build a roster that can compete and contend enough to where you bring Jimmy and Moody back and it actually matters? What was the last one we had up on the screen there from the chat? I don't think I brought it up, and then we moved on to the next one. I kind of got on a tangent about whatever it was, maybe not.
Oh, oops. Yeah. I definitely just
okay.
unsaved it.
No, it's all right. Don't worry about it. Let's keep it rolling here. Dubs OT with JD here on the Sports Leader. It'll be a Clippers blowout on Wednesday, even with Steph playing. They have not shown any ability to win without Jimmy. Fair. Again, it's if I wouldn't truly be surprised by any. I would be surprised if the Warriors blow out the Clippers. That I will say. I would not be surprised if the Warriors win close. I would not be surprised if the Warriors lose close. I would not be surprised if the Warriors got blown out. I would not, other than the fact that the Clippers don't really blow anybody out. So I would like the Clippers. The Clippers will give you a weird game, man. I know we're all talking about, and the one thing that was a huge talking point yesterday on Just Dubs, the one thing that does not bode well for the Warriors, and we've kind of analyzed the matchups and the talent disparity and all these things. The one thing that really, truly does not bode well for the Warriors in all seriousness is the 5 days in LA thing for me. Like going to LA Friday night and hanging out Friday night after they played in Sacramento, and all day Saturday, didn't have a practice. Saturday night, obviously 5:30 game, so no shoot around or anything. They just showed up and played today. Basically, would have had a meeting and maybe a breakfast to go over the game plan for whatever tonight was going to be. And so now you're, and we'll find out. I don't think they're doing anything tomorrow in terms of a practice, probably a film session and like a team meeting tomorrow, but they're staying over. So as we talked about, Kyle, and maybe you can find the dings that we had Raph pull up, and if not, that's fine. But I mean, let's do the math, and I'm going to sound like LeBron here. Let me know if we don't have it, that's fine. But we can don't worry about it. Okay, don't worry about it. But we'll just count them out. Friday night's one night in LA. Saturday's 2 nights in LA. Tonight will be 3 nights in LA. Tomorrow is 4 nights in LA. And Tuesday's 5 nights in LA before you play the game. Give me one for each. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. 5 nights in LA before you play a game with basically one legitimate practice, which is going to come probably Tuesday in the morning or the afternoon. And I would imagine probably a shoot around Wednesday. I do think they'll have a shoot around Wednesday. Although in LA, that can be a little tricky because you stay in one place in traffic and you don't want to have it take too much time to get from the hotel to, let's say if you have it at UCLA, well, UCLA is not at Inglewood and you got to go back to the hotel and you want guys to have their routine and then you're going back to Inglewood for the game. And it's anyway. But in the past, they've had shoot-arounds at UCLA. They've had shoot-arounds at USC, which is obviously closer to where Staples Center or Crypto was. They stay closer to where UCLA is. So that's an easier trip if you're just going hotel to the campus. Well, is there any surprise, Diggum? Draymond in LA for 5 days? I mean, is there any surprise that he just popped up on the injury report, is not going to play? Exactly. JC. Just the second night and Trey is already missing. I had the same thought. As I told somebody, somebody texted me, and this is somebody that will remain nameless, but somebody was texting me about, this is a big Warrior fan. And they're like, this person is like, is it even worth it to make the playoffs? Like, I think I'd rather have him lose, right? I'd rather have him just lose, whatever. And I said, well, the one thing that works in your favor is this five nights in LA thing. And he immediately hit me back, LOL. And as I told him, LA is the gateway to Cancun. LA is the gateway to Cancun, man. You get 5 days in LA and all of a sudden 1, 2, 3 Cancun becomes a lot more realistic. So maybe I need to bump that 32.5 down a little bit based on the five days in LA. The boys best not be out partying. I mean, I don't know. What would you do? Maybe not every night. Hey, Beer Man, they're going to Disneyland tomorrow. That's what somebody said yesterday, that Pods is going to Disneyland. Will Pods show up on Wednesday, beat red tan? Will Pods show up Wednesday with a sunburn because he's been out at Manhattan Beach he's been out on Muscle Beach in Santa Monica for 2 days. Yeah, I played all 82. Now I'm going to get my lift on out at Muscle Beach.
I could also see Guy at Disneyland. Like he seems like it's just like go happy. Definitely watches like some cars to go to bed. I do too. I'll put my hand up. But
he's gonna be on riding the teacups or whatever.
It's a small world.
Yeah, exactly. Guy and Pods together, riding the roller coasters. Steve wants the team to focus on the game instead of their families. That via sad Draymond. So yeah, I would imagine some of the families probably, could come down obviously for the trip since they're down there for so long. But yeah, again, it was good to see Jimmy on the bench. Gives me hope for next year. Yeah, JC Matt. Yeah, Jimmy on hand in LA and is going to be around the team for the next few days. Did you see the shot? Did you see Steph set him up? Steph was out warming up at Intuit Dome, kicked it to Jimmy, who was kind of limping off the crutches, and Jimmy looked like a guy who hadn't shot a basketball a lot in the last 3 months. He airballed it, and Steph was really giving it to him, man. Steph was basically laughing his ass off at him. Let's call it like it is. All right, let's do a couple more. And then I think we're going to actually take a timeout and then do our sounds at Dubs OT. I wasn't sure how far we were going to make it, but I think we'll just keep this thing rolling. We don't know how many of these we have left, Kyle, in terms of Dubs OTs. At least one more. I don't see the Warriors winning both playing games unless Steph drops 50 in one of those games. Well, yeah, we shall see. I mean, what would you say the one the team he would most apt to be able to go for 50 against. I have a team that immediately comes to the top of the list.
The Suns.
You say the Suns? I think it's Portland.
Okay, yeah, I get. I don't see the Clippers because I think they would just
throw
Kawhi on
the
him.
Clippers would be the Clippers are the team I feel like it's least likely he'd go for 50 against, but Portland is the team I feel like is the most likely he would go for 50 against. Again, there's something about the crowd in Portland, that small town crowd that I think gets Steph's juices flowing. And there's something also too, I think Portland, if the Warriors can survive LA, there's something to Portland doing everything that they've done to get to the 8 seed and then still wind up having a chance to get beaten, knocked out, and losing. There's a little Sacramento to Portland, as much as I do think they're the more talented team. There's a little what can go wrong, Will, if you put yourself in the position where you find yourself playing that second game. Shyam, 21-21. He'll go 50 against Portland. I think Portland, 100%. I can actually picture it. The Suns, he can go for 50, always shoots well in Phoenix. All right, that's fair.
I could also just see Dylan Brooks riling him up really early in the game, and then Steph goes bonkers after that.
Well, and that's the other thing. I could see the Warriors being really wound up against Phoenix because of the Dylan Brooks factor. And I could see Draymond being really wound up because of the Warriors won 3 out of 4 against the Suns and even beat them on the night of the trade deadline without Steph and without Jimmy in Phoenix. I think Booker didn't play in that game, but Steph plays his best at Boston, New York, Portland, and Houston. I would agree with that. I would absolutely agree with that. I think Portland is the one. Like, if you can get it to where it's Portland, I actually don't think it matters. I think either way, it's funny. I actually think if the Warriors can win the first game, they've got a better chance of winning the second game than they do of winning the first game. But they got to win the first game, obviously, to be able to have the chance to win the second game. That's part of the math as it relates to how I'm kind of looking at it. All right, let's do 2 more, and then we'll take a timeout. It would be a miracle if we win 1 game, sadly. All right, anybody that's feeling that kind of way, I get it, I respect it, I understand it. Sad Draymond chiming in. They're gonna need. They don't need sad Draymond if they're going to win. I will say that they need angry, locked in Draymond if they're going to win multiple games here over the next couple. It'd be like the COVID season, JD, when Steph got 60 at Chase against Portland. There you go. That's right. January of 2021, early in that year. And Steph getting 60 against Portland at Chase. Yeah, I think if there's one team where you say JD Steph's going to get the 50 burger, I think it would be in Portland. I could just feel it. 50 in Portland, night, and the Blazers fans go home crying, thinking they're going to make the playoffs as things currently sit tonight after they end up earning the 8 seed and the 2 chance, because they got the 2 chances to win 1 along with Phoenix. Phoenix would have 2 home games to win 1. Portland's got to go to Phoenix, and then they get the second home game to win 1 if they lose it. But yeah, I feel like if you can get to the second game and start to taste it a little bit, that's where I think maybe some of the champion's blood comes out. But yeah, we shall see. All right, one more, and then we'll take a timeout. We'll do our sounds at Dubs OT, and we'll wrap things up here on the regular season and head toward Wednesday. Don't worry, pods will save them. Why do I laugh? Pods has had a great year. Well, all right, he's had a good year. Maybe not a great year. He's had a good year. But I don't know if he's going to save him. But we shall see. All right, let's take a timeout. 808 KMBR 415-808-5627. It is Dubs OT with JD. On the Sports Leader 909, by the way, in Golden State Lumber and Children text line. I'm going to the playing game Wednesday to support the Warriors. I live in Chino, but grew up in the Bay Area. So there you go. Looking forward to it. We'll get into some of the other series as well. We'll kind of run through the way the standings shook out and the play-in matchups and also some of the other series If you want, give us your thoughts on the matchups, although we've gotten into it, I think, about as much as we probably can here through the course of the first 90 minutes. But we'll get a quick edition of Sounds of Dubs OT. We'll run through the chat again. We'll look at some of the other matchups as far as what we know, 1 through 6 in each conference, and then the play-in tournaments. Kyle's like yawning and ready to go home. So we may need to get him a shot of something, or maybe
the hard stuff
shot. Yeah, we need a shot of espresso for Kyle, or a 5-hour energy or something to get him through the final 20 minutes or so here. But yeah, Dubs OT with JD. We're rolling along here. 82 in the books. At least one more to come, but we're here for it on the Sports Leader.
KNBR presents the sounds of Dubs OT.
I can see the headline now. Kerr says Warriors better without Curry.
No class, no balls.
I want to get my joy back. I'm happy here, off the court.
Now here's John Dickinson.
All right, welcome back. Warriors lose 115 to 110, meaningless game. Steph plays 29 minutes, scores 24 points. Clippers, the 9 seed, Warriors, the 10 seed. That means they're going to play each other again on Wednesday at the Intuit Dome, where the Warriors are 0-4 against the Clippers all time since that building opened at the beginning of the 24-25 season. Warriors haven't won against the Clippers down in Southern California at all since late November of the championship season in 2021. So they're going to have to flip that if they are to advance in the play-in tournament. Got to win 2 on the road to get to OKC. But we shall see how things shake out coming up on Wednesday night. All right, let's get to it. A quick edition. We'll get a few Steve Kerr clips from the post-game press conference down in Inglewood, and then we'll get one from Brandon Pajemski. We'll run through some of the other matchups and then get to some chats and call it a night right here as we get closer to 10 o'clock and head toward Wednesday here on the Sports Leader, as we'll have Dubs OT for you after the play-in game Wednesday night. All right, let's get to Steve Kerr. Short and sweet and to the point. Here was Steve talking about one of the things we brought up in the first 90 minutes of the show, which was Brandon Pajemski becoming one of 18 players in the NBA this season who played all 82 games, and just kind of what that meant for the team and meant for Steve Kerr and meant for Brandon Pajemski himself.
For him to play 82 games, Raymond just said one of only 18 guys in the league. It's pretty impressive, but it's one of his best best qualities. He's just tough. He competes. He's out there every night. The guys just gave him an ovation in there for playing 82. We always, single guys out when that happens, because it's not an easy feat.
Yeah, not an easy feat as well. And again, I think, feel good vibes to have that be respected. I know I've said at different points, and others have as well, like one of the things the Warriors truly are going to have to examine is, some of the nonsense as it relates to, the social media conversation and some of the fan chatter about pods. Is that in any way, even a little bit, representative of some, some in the locker room? At times there have been a few players that have obviously looked at Pajemski and kind of eye rolled at him at different points. We've accounted for a couple of times that Porzingis has done it. Is that normal, just kind of teammate stuff? Is that, hey, guys don't like playing with him? All of those things. So I do think it's an indicator of, hey, having that kind of an ovation, if it's something that happens organically, is definitely a positive sign towards the belief and love. And I know on an older roster, sometimes it can be difficult for younger players to kind of break through and feel like they're totally a part of it, especially someone that is as confident, if not cocky, as Brandon Pajemski can be. So all in all, I think a nice moment for Brandon Pajemski. And on a team where there's a bunch of guys who lack the ability to play anything close to 82 games, having somebody that can put up the numbers he does and play all 82 is definitely a positive. It just becomes a question of, what level do you really have the ability to count on him in terms of your pecking order of your team? Like, is he your fourth best player, your fifth best player, your seventh best player? That's really what it boils down to. But he is somebody that definitely is going to get paid at some point in the next year and a half, and somebody that I do think is going to have a long future in the NBA. All right, let's get to the next most important thing after that. And I think actually even this is even more important, but let's hear from Steve Kerr on how he thought Steph looked tonight, ramping the minutes up to 27 or 29 rather.
Steph looked good. I think he's, he got to blow it out a little bit today, which was good. First time he's gotten to that many minutes. And I asked him during the game how he was feeling. He said he felt really good. So that was a good step for him.
So there you go. And don't say blow it out. My goodness. I made that mistake yesterday on just Dubs. Like let's leave that vernacular alone. But yeah, he did get out to get out there and run around and know he was going to play at least closer to his regular minutes. I thought Steph looked good. I thought this was the second best Steph looked. I thought he didn't look great in the 2 Sacramento games. Again, sometimes the Sacramento games are just bad outliers because the Kings play the Warriors so ruggedly, oddly, strangely aggressive. Which, by the way, the Kings are bringing Doug Christie back. Like, seriously? Like, what a freaking joke that is. Like, what an absolute embarrassment that is. Like, if that doesn't tell you all you need to know about the Sacramento Kings, the fact that Doug Christie's coming back. And look, before everybody screams at me, well, JD, it's not his fault. It's not his fault. It's not his fault. He didn't build the roster. Blah, 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 blah. But before you say all that, I know. And just because it's not his fault doesn't mean that you automatically get the benefit of the doubt and get to stay. And I mean, it just the next time the Kings are good, there's no chance Doug Christie's going to be their head coach. And look, the other part of this too is the fact that, Scott Perry, their GM, I think he knows, especially now that they have greater odds to potentially not get the number 1 pick or not get a top 4 pick than maybe it looked like they were going to have a year ago. They still could, or a month ago. They still could, but I think they ended up finishing the year, I think, with the 5th best odds, or they're tied with Portland, I think, for the 4th and 5th best odds. Anyway, regardless, he knows, I think, that at GMs know, right, that Christie's not his guy. He inherited him, and you always hang on to the guy that you inherited as long as you possibly can, because at any point you can fire that guy and bring in your guy. And so not rolling the clock over to having it be your guy, you want it to be the guy that wasn't your guy for as long as possible until you really think you can win. And I think that's kind of an indicator that the Kings know that they're not going to win much. And look, the owner loves Doug Christie more than, I think the GM does or others. But yeah, I mean, he's a rat. And I mean, he was a snake in the grass on Mike Brown and got the job in some pretty unscrupulous ways. And I mean, to see him keep the job for another year, I mean, it's truly laughable. It's truly laughable. Like, he is the worst coach in the NBA, I think, bar none. I mean, like, if we were doing coach rankings, he is 30 out of 30. I mean, but yeah, wow. That is again, great job tanking. Do it again next year, and then we're going to fire you when we're actually going to try to be good again. I mean, that's truly the I think where it stands with Scott Perry keeping that in his back pocket. Yeah, Doug Christie's he is a bad coach, and the way he got that job was snake, weasel, rat, whatever you want to call it. All those 3 things are Doug Christie. But don't let the rabbit get the gun with the snake, rabbit, or weasel. But yeah, but people in Sacramento are actually debating, well, it's not Doug's fault. Like, give me a freaking break. What a joke. What an absolute joke. Absolute joke. All right, let's hear one more from Steve Kerr on the Warriors turning up the intensity for Wednesday after playing a bunch of these meaningless games of late.
Well, we have to. I mean, we don't have a choice. I think it'll happen naturally just with the stakes. And Draymond will be well rested. He's been playing a lot of minutes and a lot of games, so good for him to get a night off tonight. He'll be ready to go. He'll help set a tone for us defensively. And yeah, we know it's going to be tough. These guys are really good, and obviously Kawhi will be back, and we're excited about the challenge.
So there you go. Yeah, ramp it up and let it go. Ramp it up and let her rip. That's what it's going to have to be as it relates to Wednesday night in a game that will matter, and really the first game in a long time that's mattered for the Warriors. All right, let's get to some of these other matchups here real quick as we roll on, and then we'll finish things up on Dubs OT. Final standings. We'll run through the Eastern Conference real quickly first. And again, we'll have time to talk about some of this on Wednesday. And if we have the show on Saturday, Kyle, it's going to be the 3 seed New York against Atlanta. Atlanta wound up getting the 6 seed, 46 and 36. So Atlanta as the 6 against New York, the 3 seed. Cleveland's going to play Toronto. That's interesting. So you've got in the top half of the bracket, Kyle, you have Detroit as the 1. You have the Cavs as the 4 and Toronto as the 5. And so Detroit, Cleveland, or Toronto are going to wind up, one of those 3 teams are going to wind up in the conference finals based on the way that the bracket shakes out, with those teams being on that part of the bracket. And then you've got the Knicks and the Celtics as the 2 and the 3. New York will await their opponent, as well as you've got Philly and Orlando, the 7-8. You've got Charlotte and Miami, the 9-10, in terms of the play-in tournament. Charlotte having a chance to battle for a playoff spot for the first time. So that's the look at it in the East. Good for Detroit. I feel like Detroit, and good for Cleveland. Honestly, Detroit and Cleveland have a great shot at now getting to the conference finals. And then we'll see what happens with Boston or New York. I do think it'll wind up being the chalk. I think the Knicks beat the Hawks. I do think Boston will beat whoever coming out, and 56 win for the Celtics. That's impressive. And then I do think Detroit will beat whoever they play. So I do think the top 4, Detroit, Boston, New York, Cleveland, will all win and wind up playing in the second round. And then Boston and New York, that's going to be a good series. Kind of like Boston, believe it or not, to get to the finals, which would be truly insane now with Tatum back and the way that they had everything play out for them last year with the injury. Western Conference is set as well. OKC is the 1. San Antonio and Denver are the 2 and the 3 as things end up playing out. The Lakers wind up 4, Houston 5, Minnesota 6. So it's going to be Denver and Minnesota are going to wind up playing each other, which I think Denver was trying to, avoid Minnesota, but it wound up not working out. And then you've got San Antonio, who's going to be the 2. I saw this note on San Antonio, Kyle, which was nuts. I sent you during the last break. San Antonio finished the year 30-1 against teams not named Denver. They were 0-3 against Denver. They went 30-4 in their final 34, and were 0-3 against Denver and 30-1 against everybody else. That sets up to be an unbelievable second round series. But here's the thing. We've seen Minnesota beat Denver before. And I think Minnesota was hoping to play the Lakers. I think, as the 3-6, and it doesn't shake out that way. So it's going to be Minnesota and Denver, which is a tough series for Denver. Denver would then have to play San Antonio likely in the second round. OKC gets the Laker-Houston bracket. Winds up being Lakers-Houston, which is an unbelievable break for Houston. Houston winds up getting the Lakers. I don't think Houston was going to beat anybody in the first round other than maybe the Lakers, now that the Lakers are down some injured players there. So I think a break for Houston to play the Lakers. I think not a break for Denver to play Minnesota, but if they can survive it, they play San Antonio. And I think the big winner is Oklahoma City as the 1 seed. Who obviously will play whoever comes out as the 8 seed in the play-in tournament, and then get the Laker Rocket. Like, the Thunder are in the conference finals, and San Antonio and Denver are going to beat up on each other, and maybe Minnesota is going to beat up on Denver and San Antonio before they wind up in a conference final. So I think that bodes extremely well for OKC. All right, let's get a few Kyle's clicks here before we wrap things up. Some thoughts there on the playoff matchups. Again, we get into more of that on Wednesday. No hope. Just call it a day. Not interested in an imaginary playoff run. Yeah, that was kind of one of the questions, right? Do you even want them to make it at this point? That was something floating around on social media a little bit today. Losing the play-in would make me happy. Douglas Mikes. Wow. Has it really come to that? I mean, we are down to it. Yeah, I'm worried Kawhi snatches our soul on Wednesday. That from Drew Down. Great to hear from you, Drew. The Warriors were not going to win both games in LA. Best to save the win for Wednesday. I think that's well said. Ian J. Diggum, Warriors should figure out how to get Bassey on the roster next year. I think they're going to try. I like his skill set. I think the Warriors do. And again, as we've talked about a few times, he is not new to the NBA. He's been in the NBA since 2021 with a bunch of different teams. So he's very comfortable with, I think, playing. I like his touch around the basket. And yes, by the way, we don't need to read all the responses. to the Doug Christie mini rant. But yes, JD said Christie is another. JD is Jim Tomsula for sure. And yes, they did do Mike Brown. They did do Mike. Doug Christie was specifically put on that staff to be a spy for the owner, and then got the job, and now gets to keep the job despite being an embarrassment for the last year. Truly bad. Truly bad. All right, let's get like two more, one more, whatever it needs to be. Here, Kyle. Let's they did Mike Brown dirty. They absolutely did. Do we need to play the thing? All right, let's play the thing. We'll play the thing.
Now, time for the Dubs OT comment of the night.
Gene checking in. 1, 2, 3, just us. 1, 2, 3, Cancun. All right, Gene. You get the last word, my friend. All right, that's going to do it. Big thanks to everybody in the chat. Big thanks to those who texted and called. We're back on Wednesday. We're on the radio. We're on the YouTube channel. We're on Twitter. We're going to be on Twitch as well. Right around 9:30 when the game goes final, win or lose, from L.A., Dubs OT with JD. Then big thanks to Kyle Haar. Big thanks to Anthony Garcia. Anybody I'm forgetting, Kyle, other than Anthony?
Oh, that's it.
And yourself. That's it. And Kyle Chung for being a gamer. He played all 82. He's like Pods. Let's just be honest. But no, thanks to everybody. We'll talk to you on Wednesday. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 10 a.m. until 2. I'll be with Greg Silva. We'll be talking Giants. We'll be talking Warriors. We'll be talking Niner draft. All of that. But till Wednesday, right here. Dubs OT with JD on the Sports Leader. John Dickinson. No, God! No, God, please!